Hello, today we are going to discuss the essay The Language of Paradox, written by Cleanth Brooks. Cleanth Brooks lived from 1906 to 1994. He was an American critic. Cleanth Brooks was closely associated with new criticism and close reading method. In this method, the biography of the author is not important while explaining a poem. In the explanation of the poem, instead of the external matters outside the literary text, the focus should be on the words on the page. The focus should be on the literary text and not the outside matters or the biography of the author. The meaning of paradox is something which is hard to believe, an absurd or contradictory statement. Cleanth Brooks wrote this book, The Well-Wrought Urn, Studies in Structure of Poetry, and it was published in 1947. There are 11 essays in the book. The first essay, The Language of Paradox. In this essay, Cleanth Brooks says that poetry is the language of paradox. He says, paradox is a language appropriate and inevitable to poetry. It is an expression that combines opposite ideas. In poetry, there are connotations, and a poet must work by analogies and contradictions. A scientist is the one who requires truth and not paradox. On the contrary, a poet works in a non-scientific way, and his poems are full of paradox and not denotations or truth. So, language of ambiguity is used in a poem. Through the paradox, a poet can unify the complexities of human experiences into one whole experience. It is the manifestation of a total experience. Paradox becomes inevitable to a poet. In the example of William Wordsworth's poem, a poet is filled with worship for nature. But the girl walking beside him is not worshipping. When you read the example given by Cleanth Brooks in this essay, the poet is filled with worship for nature. But it seems that the girl walking beside her does not worship nature. But the paradoxical situation is that the girl is worshipping nature more deeply than the self-conscious poet. She is in communion with nature all the year, whereas the poet is in communion with nature only in a sporadic and momentary manner. Another example given by Cleanth Brooks is that of Wordsworth's sonnet composed upon Westminster's Bridge. In this sonnet, the paradoxical situation is depicted in the usual unattractive, noisy, smoky industrial city of London. Usually, London is very mechanical, very noisy, very smoky, and it looks very mechanical. But the paradoxical situation is that London can also be a very natural place, a part of nature in the morning. So, Cleanth Brooks gives the example of London in this Wordsworth's poem. In the morning, in the splendor of morning, in the smokeless air, London also looks only a part of nature and not mechanical at all. So there is a contrast between the mechanical and dull life of London and the freshness and the glory of morning images. So Wordsworth is shocked at the paradoxical picture of London. Next example given by Cleanth Brooks is that of Alexander Pope's poem, An Essay on Man. Pope tells that condition of man is pathetic. Though man considers himself the best of God's creation, still his condition is pathetic. He becomes a slave to all that he possesses. Man claims to be the judge of truth, but he always keeps on committing errors. Another example given by Cleanth Brooks in this essay is John Donne's poem, The Canonization. In this poem, Donne treats the profane love of two lovers as the divine love of a pair of hermits who have renounced the desires and pleasures. So, such a paradoxical situation. There are two lovers, lovers are supposed to be materialistic, but in this poem, lovers are considered as saints. So, it is a paradoxical situation. The lovers consider their bodies as hermitage. They sacrifice everything for the sake of love. So they are like saints, and they are regarded as saints in the poem. The lovers are compared to the phoenix that rises from its ashes. The well-wrought urn that will hold their ashes will be sacred. So, Cleanth Brooks wants to prove that so many meanings are possible with the help of paradox. Opposites can be reconciled with the help of paradox. I quote from the essay, "The paradoxes spring from the very nature of the poet's language. It is a language in which the connotations play as great a part as the denotations." Thank you.